So a little bit about myself, man. I entered a recovery program on March 9, 2003 in the Cocaine Anonymous program, which uses the same book as AA, in case you didn't know. I picked my sponsor up the same meeting. He's still my sponsor. I did some speaking all over the state of Texas till 2010. Decided a girl was more important than God. And when she left, so did God, and so did I. And I went back out for 13 years and got it over with, guys. Been back for about 19 months now. So life's improving. I've been not homeless for 2 months. Thank God. You know, it was a long road. Anybody here like to jog at all? Running? Yeah? I made it the whole mile and a half this morning, man. Y'all believe that? I finally turned around and said, "Here, lady, take your purse back." You guys, alcohol and drugs do so much for me. I don't care what they do to me once I start. You guys, I got to remember when it really got bad, man. When it really got bad. I think it was when I got really bad off on drugs and strung out, right? No, man. It got bad before that. When I felt I needed to. If only I could smoke meth like a gentleman. And not peep out my blinds or do the 50-meter freestyle carpet search this time. If only. But see, a real good person in my life passed. My mom. Christian woman. Never did anything wrong to anybody. Always stood last in line. Everybody's mom. Just died from a brain tumor in 9 months, man. I didn't get it. I went to church with her. Why? I didn't understand that bad things can happen to good people, man. Even if they're real good people and even if they're close to you, because it never happened to me. And I was 28, and 6 months later after she died, meth walked into my door and her name was Crystal. And she literally lived on Payne Street right around the corner from me. If that doesn't speak volumes. And it was over the second I hit the pipe. We all know that. 6 months later, I'm sitting at my computer writing songs because that had enhanced my ability to go live my lifestyles of the rich and famous, because I am a really good musician. It enhanced my writing and playing so much, man, that it was never going to stop, obviously, until my dreams came true, right? Well, 6 months in, I'm sitting at my computer, it's dark in there. I look down, and my blinds are coming up. I jumped up, turned on the lights, nobody there. Opened my door. Nobody there. Screen still on, door still locked, window still locked. Nobody there. I was like, oh shit. I didn't sign up for this shit, man. Hell no. And that's where most people will draw the line in the sand and say, that's the end of it. For me, that was the beginning, man. That was the beginning of a real nightmare that I cannot even describe to you, with a hell so deep you could not possibly fathom how much I got addicted to that horror of somebody trying to kill me. So, that was my high. Paranoia. Paid all that money to scare hell out of myself, man, when it was all said and done. And I went on with that for 20 years. And let me tell you, this naive little farm boy came up to Austin thinking he was a real badass. And I ran into some people that were real badasses, that murdered and robbed people for a living, and I did not know. I was buying dope from them. And these friends tried to come in my house at 3:30 in the morning and kill me and rob me. 3 days later, it turns out I had about 30 minutes to get out of town. One of them guys that got caught, flipped, blamed it on me, and everybody in that little ring was after my ass. And I got let know real fast, get your ass out of Austin and go. And when I got out of Austin, I had 2 more months where I was at. Then it ended. People aren't playing games out here over $20 bags of meth, man. They will kill you and they don't care who you are. But I got lucky, guys. I say that, but I'm not. I'm blessed. See, those things that went on in my life were my gift, man. Not my curse. To show me what I don't want. You see, when that happened to my mom, I got lost touch with God, man. And I decided I wanted that life. Criminal, drug addict, high, skewing my perception of reality to realize that, hey, maybe bad things are going to happen to good people sometime. Maybe. And maybe I'm going to be next. Maybe I should just go party like a rock star till it's on, because it don't matter no more, even if you are there. And my spiritual malady that the book says we have was in full set. It was on. I did not care what God thought if he was there. In that little Sunday morning box I opened every Sunday morning when I got to church for an hour, with all the same people I went to happy hour with to watch a football game right after, That little Sunday morning box, I had to open that box and leave it open when I got to recovery. Because this concept of God that I had was horrible. He became this invisible superpower I was going to run to 30 seconds before I died, man. And that's all it was. Why should it be anything more? Look what happened to her. Why should I even try, man? Well, I found out God was all I needed when He was all I had left, y'all. And I realized, after getting into the book, that, on page 68, it says, perhaps there's a better way. A better way to what? Well, they're talking about a better way to live, think, view the world, a perspective. And they say, for we think so. We're now on a different basis. The basis of relying and trusting upon God. We trust an infinite God instead of our finite selves. Well, number one, I'm not going to try to figure out what an infinite God is with a finite mind. The best thing I can do is say, I don't know what you are, God. Because the more I think I know, the more I hurt myself. They say one side of our head manufactures 50-pound bags of bullshit and the other side buys it. But see, man, that death in my family, it cracked my BS, man, and we all have one, and that's a belief system. It got cracked. It was skewed. Page 11 of our book, Bill says, to Jesus Christ, I could see the certainty of a great man, not too closely followed by those who claim him. His moral teachings most excellent. For me, I adopted parts which seemed convenient to me at the time and not too difficult to follow. I said, that's my ass right there. That book describes me, man. I adopted the forgiveness part of Jesus. I can do whatever I want, man. I'll be forgiven in the end. Just make sure and ask. Right till I'm living in it constantly. See, my belief system was screwed, man. And my sponsor got me to step 2. And he said, man, you need to erase the blackboard. And you need to write a personal ad for the paper that says, wanted, one God, must be. And you need to start all over. And I did. And I wrote down all the good qualities that were left over from our God as a kid from the Bible. And all the good qualities from the book that says, the principles we're supposed to live by. Forgiveness, love, tolerance. The top of page 63 says, being all powerful. They tell us to get our own conception of God, then they tell us He's all powerful. After they did. Because they all came to the same conclusion, guys. Check this out, page 161 of our book. It says, being wrecked in the same vessel. That means if you walk into AA on Xanax, pot, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Because alcoholics run red lights and potheads stop at green ones. It says being wrecked in the same vessel. Being restored and united under one God. It didn't say many gods. My book told me we all serve the same God. And I know why that's true. Because we take the same 12 steps with the same principles behind them with the exact same approach to that God. We are all seeking the same power greater than ourselves. We think it's different at first. But since it's based on the same principles with the same approach. So it says being wrecked in the same vessel, being restored and united under God, one God, with hearts and minds attuned to the welfare of others. The things that used to signify so much to us no longer matter. How could they? See, a full consummation of the program is going through all 12 steps, man. And getting my heart and mind attuned to the welfare of others. Let me tell you what I think about when I wake up in the morning. Right now, I do my morning meditation because I learned to live the AA way of life. But before, it's how much money do I have and what is she doing? 2 things that can be taken from me in a heartbeat. Perhaps there's a better way. We trust an infinite God rather than our finite selves. People are finite, money's finite. My bag of dope ran out, my bottle of booze ran out every single time. The meaningful overnight relationships, where the hell are all those girls? It was true love every time, let me tell you. Finite things, man, can be taken from me. And so when I put faith into any of those finite things, especially people, some people I do put faith in, especially people in recovery, and especially my sponsor that are on the same path that I'm on. I put a lot of trust into those people. But to put trust in something infinite is the only way for me to get out of my addiction. So on page 45, they tell us lack of power, that's our dilemma. We had to find the power by which we can live. The very next page on 46, it tells me exactly how to find the power. I found the answer. Because he says, yet another moment, when enchanted by a starlit night, we found ourselves thinking, who then made all that? There's a feeling of awe and wonder, but it's fleeting and soon lost. You know, Bill's telling me when I'm standing and look at something greater than me that I didn't make, that no other man made, I feel smaller. I see something infinite, man. He calls it a feeling of awe and wonder. If you study the Bible, they call it coming to God with a childlike mind. It's easy to impress a child by pulling a quarter out of the back of his ear when you didn't know it was in your hand. That's a childlike mind. You know what that really is? That's humility. It's me being humble. Why do I have that feeling of awe and wonder in that moment? Because the stars are right in front of me and I have evidence right in front of me in that moment. I feel that feeling. You know where else? You know what else I got to do, man? I got to get more of that evidence. And I got to ingrain it into my thinking because he said it was fleeting and soon lost. When I go back inside and see who got shot today on the news, that's out of there. Or it's back to how much money do I have and what is she doing? I had to start setting my sights on something bigger and greater than me, guys. NASA was running this experiment, right? And they put this guy in the anti-gravity room and he goes to turn the screw and instead of the screw turning, he turned. They had to anchor that man to that piece of equipment so when they got to outer space, he could get the damn screw out. And life's going to do that to me, whether I'm in a sober house, whether I'm not, whether I'm being held accountable, whether I'm not, whether I have a lot of money, a little money, girl, no girl, job, no job, wife, no wife, just like our book says. I better get anchored in something. Because my moment of clarity when alcohol and drugs beat the shit out of me and made me listen to somebody else comes and goes for as soon as I get another alcohol or drug in my body. It's all out the window immediately. And if I'm not anchored down in something, guys, it's going to turn me. And here I go flipping it again. And you know what turns me? Fear, man. Fear of not getting something I want. Fear of losing something I have. What she's doing is a real big one. You know, I know a few girls, if I'll just go to the bar and pay their bar tab a few times, I could probably take them home. And probably not drink, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. See, there's a lot of ways back in, man. It don't have to be a 1,000-foot drop-off every time. It can be something slow. Well, I'm just going to not drink and I'm going to date her. She's a normie. Okay. Go to the barbershop enough, we all get a haircut. We know that. It can be a nice gradual slide. And you know what? Anytime I'm starting to think that I need to be in that environment anymore for now, and I don't feel like I'm safe, let me tell you, Bill calls it the tinkling of the glasses, right? He hears the tinkling of the glasses and the conviviality of the room and the chatter in the bar. He hears that, and it affects him. And your mind starts turning about the freedom, the old life. It's the barbecue, it's the football game, it's the pool table, it's the poker table. It's this guy I haven't seen in 20 years. It's this reason, it's that reason that I need to be here. And you know what? I got to check my motives today, man. Because it's not those things ever talking to me. It's alcohol and drugs. And you know what it's doing? It's talking me out of life one more time. To get my ass back in that sling one more time. You know, I think it's so hard to avoid that shit, but it's not. Alcoholics Anonymous gave me the tools to avoid had that thought in the first place. So there's so many ways back in, man. And you know, surrounding myself with evidence is the best thing I've ever done. And being in Alcoholics Anonymous meeting surrounds me with that evidence. I spent 1.5 years homeless and in crack motels, staying sober. Going downtown and praying with crackheads. I was the only white boy in the alley, trust me. I had to talk to the biggest guy down there and get permission to go back there and pray. There's a lot of things we can do to reach out, even in our darkest hour, man. I know this: if I sow a seed when I'm in need, God always comes behind me and slides all my gifts into the table. I get a lot of gifts, man, from a lot of real good people that I never saw coming in a million years that I don't feel like I deserve. But it's simply for staying sober, going to AA, trying to share the message when I can, sponsoring people. This service work, God takes it real serious, man. And if I did my third step prayer, I signed up to be exactly that. Exactly that. I learned the book. I lived the book. Then I articulate the book. We are tour guides out of hell. Man, I'm proud to be one, guys. That's for sure. So, man, getting a new primary purpose and getting a direction in my life is what Alcoholics Anonymous gave me. You know, I think my computer repair job is my main job in life. No. It's not. Being a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous and carrying the message is. And let me tell you, the best way to carry the message is when I'm standing at line at HEB. And the lady in front of me is having a hard day, and the cashier's having a hard day, and they can't pay, and they don't know how to use the damn credit card, and I got shit to do, man. Not to say nothing, not to stamp on my foot, not to sign, not to make faces, and not to even think for a second, what the fuck is these people's problem? To have a spiritual awakening, stay spiritually fit, is to automatically go, man, I hope they're okay. And to have somebody yelling in my face. You know what? Let me tell you, life and people and girlfriends and bosses and jobs and everybody in your life, they may be having a bad day. And let me tell you, 99.9% of the time, you're just a bullfighter in the ring, and they ain't charging your ass, they're charging your cape, man. And I can get angry at life, and I can get angry at people. Anger is drinking poison and expecting a whole other person to die, and they're walking off laughing. So this not being anchored to something is going to put me in fear. It's going to put me in anger. It's going to give me thoughts that the pool table looks real good, and I'm a great player. You know, man, the bottom line for me, there's a couple more things. You know, page 61, this is a really important passage on this page. It says we're victims of something. We're victims of the delusion that we can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if only we manage well. Me and my material possessions are okay? Okay, for now. How did I manage when they weren't okay? Why is it different now? I have more money for more dope. I can take Ubers and not get a DWI. Why don't I just live on the top of a mountain, man? So I can see the FBI coming for me. What would I do with $100K in my spendable cash right now in my bank? What would I do? I can't be a victim of that delusion because I'm managing well, guys. I have to get anchored in something that's not finite. It has to be infinite. Money comes and goes, people come and go. We all know that, man. You know, and you know, I got to be ready. These are moments of clarity when we get to stop in a sober house, when we get to stop at a treatment center. Every time I walk into an AA meeting, every time I pray, every time I have another day of peace, not on dope. Because life's not going to stop for anybody out there, man. The same people are selling dope under the bridge. The alcohol's still there. I got a pocket full of money and the corner store's right there. And when I lay my head down tonight, man, let me tell you who's going to be there with me. Nobody. Even if somebody was laying there with me. It's me and God every night. Every single night. And I got to get at peace with Him, man. 12 steps allowed me to do that. Doing them thoroughly allowed me to do that. To have peace in my thinking. You know, I robbed a safe at a bar, guys, for $900. Because I didn't like the way they were treating me when I was 21 years old. Watched them open the safe, watched them open the safe, watched them open the safe. Got the combination, then I opened the safe. I took the money, and I didn't get caught. 13 years later, I get to step 8. Step 8 says we made a list of everybody who harmed us and came willing to pay them all back. No, that's the way we do it when we relapse. Step 8 says we made a list of everybody who we've harmed and came willing to make amends to them all. You know what? I didn't even put that on my step 8. You know why? I was justified in taking that money because of the way they treated me. I didn't even tell my sponsor about it. And I kept doing my steps. And I kept doing my steps. And then it started creeping in at night when I was laying down in bed. Then it started creeping in every night. Then it started creeping in 5 times a day. Then I realized there was a stain on my spirit because I did something wrong and didn't make an amends for it that needed to be done. And that it might get me sick again. One thing I got away with that I'll never be caught for, right? God was watching. He saw me do every grain of dope off my floor. He knows. And He's the one I got to lay down my head with at night. And He knows. How am I going to be okay? I told my sponsor. And I said, man, I can't afford that. He said, you can't afford not to, bro. Doing the steps and getting spiritually fit is taking care of shit like that. And let me tell you, I walked in there and she could have thrown me in jail. It's a felony. She happened to own a halfway out at the time. I told her what was up and she asked me to go speak at it instead. Guys, God shows up when we work the steps, man. Sometimes little things, sometimes big things. But if I have to leave a message with anybody, grab on with both hands right now in this moment of clarity. It doesn't matter what your financial circumstances are, what anybody's are, what your girl's doing, or what anybody else is doing. What matters is happening between me and God, and that gets settled between 12 steps. That's how that gets settled. That's how the relationship gets formed, maintained, built, and it is the one thing I better anchor myself in, or I'm going to be the one flipping in that gravity room. Last thing, G-O-D. You hear it stands for all this shit, right? Group of drunks, good orderly direction. Well, page 24 says something real important that I have to remember for the rest of my life. And if I don't believe it about myself, I probably need to start the steps all over again. It says we're enabled at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of just a week or a month, maybe even a year ago, that we're without defense against our first strength. You know, those certain times are going to come for all of us because it says we're enabled at certain times. Not all the time. When I got a piston cup for probation, that shit's easy. When I got accountability issues here, it's easy. What about when I don't? How did I perform up till now? Having no accountability. How did I do? Did I prove that line was true for me? What was my worst consequence for alcohol and drugs? Did I drink and do drugs after that anyways? Yes, I did. I did. That's why I know I'm unable at certain times. So at certain times, you know what I need? I need God, man. And the real G-O-D is grow or die in those certain times. Thanks, guys.